I recently returned to my hometown of Calgary, Canada to co-produce the 7th annual MakeFashion FashionTech show. We founded MakeFashion at a time when FashionTech was relatively new, and back then we were one of the very first organizers of a show of that kind. Since then, we've produced a show every year, putting entirely new runway garments on display. It's been important for us to raise enough money to pay all of our designers for materials, travel, and artist fees to reward them for the hard work that they do. This year, we were fortunate to have funding from the Calgary Arts Development to help with our funding. In addition to 7 years of MakeFashion, I participated in producing dozens of shows around the world. Here are the top 7 tips I've learned in 7 years. The first tip is the most important one. Lighting is key. Unlike a traditional runway show where the goal is to see as much of the garment as possible, at events with illuminated clothing, too much light can reduce the impact of the outfits. Finding the right balance of lighting to be able to see the models but not drown out the lights is essential. Because of the tricky lighting, photographers can struggle with getting quality photos that showcase the garments. Remind photographers to avoid bright fill flash that will drown out the details, and have a spotlight at the end of the runway on the models' faces to help with quality shots. Many of our garments at MakeFashion are high concept. For example, dresses that monitor heart rate and temperature to watch for anxiety attacks, or dresses that change color based on the surroundings. But without knowing the complexity behind the piece, most audiences will just see a pretty dress on the runway. Make sure your audience knows what they are about to experience before it walks out. For our shows, we do a short video intro before every piece. When your fashion is battery-powered, keep backups. As a rule of thumb, I bring twice as many batteries as the garments need. That way you can do easy swap-outs and recharge when they're looking low. Even with the best preparation, this can become a problem. I recently had a show where moments before the runway, half of my batteries were missing. I think someone thought they were free or something they could just borrow. Either way, you can never have too many batteries stashed away for these situations. Unlike a typical fashion show where a model can quickly change themselves, FashionTech garments can be high maintenance and require settings, controllers, and adjustments while on the model. If your models are wearing more than one look for the show, give at least a 20-minute buffer per model to have time to change. I wish I didn't have to put this on the list, but it's a reality. I've never produced a show where at least one thing didn't go wrong. Even the best constructed and tested garments can have technical failures, often minutes before the runway. I recommend always having a backup garment or being prepared to pull a model out of the show last minute in case something goes wrong. This last tip is one of the most important ones. Fashion shows can be a high-stress environment with a lot of moving pieces, and it's easy to get flustered and lose your cool. Remember that everyone is in it together, and always treat models, volunteers, and staff with encouragement, kindness, and respect. I've personally seen many other shows where a producer yells at models backstage, and the models walk out on the runway looking stressed and stiff, which dampens the big moment. The FashionTech community should be fun, supportive, and encouraging, and that includes everyone on stage and backstage. I hope you've enjoyed the past 7 years of shows and events. I really feel like we get better at doing these events every single year, and I'm looking forward to many more years to come.